Remember when you were a kid and you were really dumb? Yeah, this is one of those stories. One day I was at my local warehouse. For those of you who aren't Kiwis, which is all of you, the warehouse is a large retail store in New Zealand. It's like Walmart, but...
Be interested in our new winter duvet inners that we just got in.
Oh wow, they're great price.
It's like Walmart. I'm getting sidetracked already. I was at the warehouse one day when I noticed a game in the clearance section. The game in question was Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku for the Game Boy Advance. I had to get it because it was only $9.97, which was unheard of at the time, especially for Nintendo games. Now, being a dumb kid, I didn't have the insight to think why it was so cheap and why there was a pile of them still sitting in the clearance bin. Because there was a reason. Oh yes, a very good reason. This game brought on a new feeling I hadn't really experienced before, and that was buyer's remorse. So is this game as terrible as I remember? Let's find out together. Have you ever gone back to a game that you used to love and realised that it wasn't actually that good? Or replayed a game that you used to hate but found out that it was a lot better than you remember? Well, in this series, I'm going to be revisiting some games from my past and seeing whether or not they are as good or as bad as I remember. This is what we had to play. Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku was released in 2002 for the Game Boy Advance. Developed by Webfoot Technologies, it was somehow able to spawn two sequels, The Legacy of Goku II in 2003, followed by Boo's Fury in 2004. The game is an action-adventure title with RPG elements. We'll be playing as Goku and going through various parts of the Saiyan and Frieza sagas. And now that we've gotten that short intro out of the way, let us begin. Beating up the game, we are greeted with a delightfully compressed abridged edit of the Rock the Dragon opening. Unfortunately, the music isn't the same. I would have loved to have seen, well, I guess heard, a recreation of the epic Rock the Dragon score using the Game Boy Advance's CPU soundscape. However, I really like the music for this opening theme. It fits in nicely with the visuals and doesn't sound out of place. Despite how pixelated it is, I thought it was really impressive to see such a scene on the Game Boy Advance. Who am I kidding? It looks like shit. It's odd that they included the title reveal with Trunks in the background, given that this game only goes up to the Frieza saga. Oops. The main menu is very simple. There isn't much to discuss here, so let's just get started on a new game.
Our story begins with our humble hero, Goku. It has been a long time since he has last seen his childhood friends, and so he has decided to meet with them at the house of his old martial arts master. Coming along with him is his young 6-year-old son, Gohan.
We start our journey on Master Roshi's charming little island. Our first objective in the game is to locate Master Roshi's porno magazines. I'm just imagining what the developer meeting was like.
Okay guys, so how do we want to start off this E for Everyone title that will appeal to the kids?
This is so stupid. There are 3 magazines in total to be found on the island. What's more strange about these magazines is that one of them appears to have Bulma on the cover and the other seems to have Goku's wife Chi-Chi on the cover.
I better keep Gohan from seeing this magazine.
Yeah, you better. It'd be like discovering your mother's OnlyFans account. The last magazine can be found on the floor of the house. Returning all 3 to Roshi will cause Raditz to arrive on the island.
I can't believe this is happening! Oh man, what? There you are, Kakarot. Who is Kakarot?
You are, of course. You're not from this planet. You are a Saiyan warrior, like me, your brother.
A Saiyan? Your brother? I don't believe you.
You were sent here as a child to cleanse this pitiful planet of these humans, but somehow you've forgotten who you really are.
It must have happened when you hit your head as a child. Oh my!
I would never do anything to hurt people. This is my home, and these are my friends.
I see you've become soft. Perhaps your son will make do in your place.
What? Gohan, no!
No.
Daddy!
When it comes to storytelling, this game has the same issues as Budokai 3 has, but they're even worse here. The story in this game is so truncated and yet so full of filler that it's barely coherent. If you have no prior knowledge of Dragon Ball Z's story, then good fucking luck trying to follow this. Raditz kidnaps Gohan and Piccolo appears offering to collaborate to stop Goku's brother.
It's me, Piccolo. Calm down. I'm not here to fight you.
Huh? Why are you here then, Piccolo? We have enough to worry about.
That guy who was just here, I met him earlier. I think he's much more powerful than both of us, Goku. I suggest a truce. We can settle our own differences later.
Why should we trust you?
Because he is a bigger threat to me than you, Goku. Together, maybe we have a chance.
No way, Goku, don't listen to him.
I'll go ahead without you. We can meet up later.
Us? A team? Sounds risky, but I like it. I'd better get going. I need to rescue my son. The fastest way to travel is Nimbus?
Chala! Hey, chala!
Goku arrives at his house. What? Yeah, this game does that thing where something urgent is happening, but then you get sent off to pick up some flowers, find a cat, grab this boat. Hello? Your son has been kidnapped. This isn't the time to be chatting to Yamcha about baseball. But really, this is just to extend the game's length, and even with this filler, the game can be beaten in only a few hours. Even for a Game Boy Advance game, this is really short. So here we are at Goku's house, and there isn't much we can do in this area. We can talk to Chi-Chi, who is hiding in the trees for some reason, and then we never see her again.
I have no idea how you're still married.
This game does this a lot with its characters. You'll see a familiar face, talk to them, and that'll be the end of it. They put in the effort to create these sprites, but then they do nothing with them. They merely serve as experience dispensers. Now when it comes to the sprites, they look pretty good. You can tell who they're supposed to be right away. The design uses the chibi style, which involves giving the sprites large heads and eyes. Now I'm not a big fan of this look, but it works well here. We must keep in mind that this is a Game Boy Advance game, and the screen of this handheld has a resolution of only 240 by 160 pixels. Despite the small screen real estate, the chibi designs allow the characters to be instantly recognizable as well as expressive. While the overworld sprites are quite nice, the character portraits used for the dialogue can range from hilariously bad to terrifying. A lot of them look like they've been ripped from a different game. Honestly, you could say that about a lot of this game. It looks like a bootleg game, but it isn't. This is an officially licensed Dragon Ball Z title. We head into the forest and... This game is hard, especially at the beginning. You should save frequently. Goku attacks in two ways, punching and ki blasts. The punch is awful to control. It feels really stiff with piss poor damage and piss poor range. You can't move diagonally, so you can't attack diagonally either. So in order for your punches to land, you must be practically on top of the enemy. Because you can attack from a distance, ki blasts are a safer option in the early game. By pressing the button, Goku will launch a short-range ki blast. Holding down the button causes Goku's blast to become more powerful and have a longer range. Using a ki blast depletes your ki meter, which is displayed in the upper left corner above the health bar. Look how quickly your health goes down. It's ridiculous. The most powerful man on earth has nothing on these wolves. Fuck. There is an inventory system that allows you to collect and use healing items such as herbs and senzu beans. You can carry a maximum of 6 herbs at once, each will restore a quarter of your health. Sensu beans are a full heal, but you can only carry 3 at a time. However, the only sure way to survive in this harsh world is to engage in everyone's favourite activity, grinding. Haha! Yay! My favourite.
Don't get too excited.
You can gain experience in a variety of ways, completing side objectives, speaking with specific NPCs, and defeating enemies. When you gain enough experience points, Goku will level up, increasing both the amount of damage he can deal and the amount of damage he can take. Each enemy type gives a different amount of experience, and as you might expect, the harder enemies give a lot more. For example, if we kill this dinosaur, we will gain 600 experience, which is a significant amount in this stage of the game. He takes a lot of hits to kill and deals a lot of damage. It can be a real challenge to take him out, unless you're like me and hide in the trees where he can't get me.
You're a monster!
After leveling up a bit, it becomes a lot easier to explore. We meet this old man who has a giant dinosaur skeleton in his house. He tells us he can help us find our son, but first we must do some side quests because otherwise the game will be too short. I mean, to stop the disturbances in the forest. The side content is mostly comprised of fetch quests. We need to get some flowers, and then this boat, and then a child. Da 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 da. A cat and some stones. Truly thrilling. I remember this episode where he got some cats. Sugar. Yeah. Milk! Pardon. During a couple of these side quests, we'll have to use one of the most recognizable elements of the Dragon Ball Z franchise, flying.
Right, I'm not messing about. This better be fucking good.
It's fucking crap!
This barely passes as flying. Why is everything in this game so shit? It's so... When you're flying... When you're flying, your flight meter will appear on the right. It measures it by displaying your maximum amount of flight time and how much time you have left. It drops as you fly. You must collect these orbs to refill it. Your maximum flight duration will increase as you level up. The only purpose of flight is to get up and across ledges. Even at a high level, the distance you can travel is so short that it is hardly even worth using. Talking to this dinosaur, and yes, Goku can apparently talk to dinosaurs now. But not that one. Or those ones. Or these snakes. Crabs. Wolves.
Squirrel!
What was I even talking about? Oh yeah, talking to this dinosaur. We are tasked with finding her missing egg. She claims a heartless monster stole it. But when we get up to the area where the egg is, there's another dinosaur up there, which I'm pretty sure is the father, so we kinda had to solve this custody dispute by assassinating the father. Rated E for everyone. On the way back with the egg, we find Tien and Chiaotzu just chilling out under a tree in the deadliest forest known to man. Talking to Tien, he offers to help, but Goku tells him he needs to handle it on his own, which is a lie because Piccolo was already helping us. After returning the egg, we have completed everything in the forest and must now dawdle our way back to the old man's house. And I say dawdle because I'm sure you've noticed you cannot run in this game. Our top speed is this jaunty little walk. The cynic in me wants to say it's because they want to pad out the game, but honestly, I'm not sure why they decided against allowing players to run. It's just another example of how inept this game is. The old man clears the way to the next area where we can finally confront Raditz. Before we leave, he teaches us a new move, Solar Flare. Wait, what? So the game has some random old man teach us Solar Flare, and yet we have Tien standing out in the forest doing nothing? Why is everything having to be so stupid? They went to all this trouble to create a sprite for Tien, and yet he isn't even the one that teaches us Solar Flare? Solar Flare is Tien's signature move.
Solar Flare!
Why change? Why? I don't understand. You made it. You have Tien in the game. Why is he just standing on the tree? Why did I play this? Come on, guys. Do you even know what Dragon Ball Z is? It's an manga that you didn't watch or read. They should have just switched the old man and Tien's roles. Better yet, get rid of the old man entirely and use the time saved to program in a running animation. Why is everything in this game so shit? Despite the fact that the way you get solar flare is stupid, the move itself is not. It is a key move that when used will temporarily freeze enemies. After freezing the enemies, you can wail on them for a bit before scurrying away. This cowardly technique is the most effective way to defeat most opponents, especially bosses. And while we're on the subject of bosses, we're about to meet our first one. The entire boss encounter and area is just poorly designed. If we want, we can just walk up to Gohan. Come on Goku, just snatch him. There are healing herbs laid out everywhere, and Piccolo is just standing there looking out into space. Don't expect him to help you with this fight, because that would require programming. And this game ain't about that life. We approach Raditz, who won't do anything until we talk to him.
Give Gohan back to me, now! Are you prepared to join me? Come, Kakarot, we could rule the universe.
How do I pronounce 3 dots?
Period. Your whole purpose in life is to conquer and destroy. We are Saiyans. It is in our blood. I may have been born a Saiyan, but that's not my purpose. Don't make this any more difficult. Very well, brother. Now you will see the wrath of a true Saiyan. It is a shame.
And as soon as the dialogue box disappears, he smacks us.
Oh, fuck. I can't believe you've done this.
The way boss fights play out is pathetic. You freeze them, take a few pot shots, run away because we're made of paper mache, rinse and repeat until they die. Defeating Raditz does reward us with a decent amount of experience. The iconic special beam cannon scene is then reenacted, except that I killed him behind a rock so we can't see anything. Sorry guys.
Don't be a fool, brother. His blast will kill us both. If that's what it takes to save this planet, I'm ready. Special beam cannon!
Goku dies for the first time ever. Definitely he's never died before. Nope. It hasn't occurred before in this game. Goku is sent to the afterlife where Kami greets us, but he has some bad news for us.
That was a brave sacrifice you made, Goku.
I would do anything for my son, Kami.
You saved not only Gohan, but perhaps everyone else on Earth. But all is not well.
What is wrong?
As we speak, 2 more Saiyan warriors are on their way to Earth. They are coming to get the Dragon Balls so that they may gain eternal life. But your friends are collecting the Dragon Balls so that they can wish you back to Earth in order to protect it once again. Go to the end of Snake Way and train with King Kai. He will make you powerful enough to face these new foes.
On my way. This door doesn't lead to Snake Way.
Snake Way is long and boring, kinda like my videos. It's nothing more than a long winding path with nothing on it, with the exception of one fight with Princess Snake. She's just chilling in the middle of the road, probably because she's had enough of her opulent palace, which isn't in this game at all. This fight is just so low effort and has no context to it. I don't know why they even bothered including it. Continuing down the path, Goku suddenly loses his balance, even though the screenshot they use makes it look like he was hit by a car. Oops. Goku plummets all the way to hell. I mean, Hell. You may have missed it in the title screen, but this game is based on the anime's Funimation dub. It was changed to HFIL due to the FCC regulations prohibiting the use of the word hell in Saturday morning children's programming. Yay, censorship, my favorite. When asked about this edit in a 1997 interview with American magazine, Funimation producer Barry Watson said,
"To be honest, that Home for Infinite Losers was about the best we could do. Something you have to realize is that to eliminate something like that, there are 30 frames for every second of animation. Our painters have to work through about 15 to 20 minutes of footage, so you're talking about literally tens of thousands of cells to clean up. We do try our best to keep to the spirit of the original animation and to keep in line with a lot of the Japanese spirit of the show.
I find this change to be stupidly charming in its own way. I know that it's inaccurate to like the original source material, but nothing else in this game is, so who cares? The game developers don't. Hefil has lots of these cloud enemies floating around, and they are damage sponges. Even with my grinding, they take an eternity to kill. I eventually gave up and just avoided them entirely. This level is tedious and desolate. We speak with this red guy who challenges us to catch him, and then he vanishes. Cool. In order to escape, we must find 3 spirits and bring them back to the guy by the health and fitness center. The appearance of the spirit is the most perplexing aspect of this mission. The character portraits resemble little ghosts, but the overall sprites resemble the cloud enemies. The only visual difference is that they aren't moving. There are a total of 3 of them to find. There are also these blue flames and distinct patterns on the ground that look important, but they aren't. There's also this blood fountain in the middle of the level. Also not important. It looks cool though. A tree with a fruit is blocked by a barrier, so we aren't able to get to it. But after collecting all 3 spirits, the barrier is dispelled so we can grab it. The red guy reappears and throws us through a portal, returning us to the beginning of Snake Way. Yay! So we must retrace our steps down the path. Snake Way's layout in this game simply does not convey its extreme length well. When you see too much of it on the screen at once, it appears condensed and small. The second time through, there are all these flight orbs scattered around, so we're able to proceed a lot quicker. Even though in the anime there were hands that would reach out and pull Goku down if he tried to skip sections. But I guess they forgot about that part. I also think they might have gone to watch the anime altogether. Finally, we reach the end and we can begin our training with King Kai.
Are you King Kai?
Well, of course I am. Do you see any other Kais around here? I didn't think so.
Okay. Well, can you train me to defeat the Saiyans who are approaching Earth?
Saiyans, eh? There aren't many of them left in this universe. Their whole planet was destroyed, but the ones who survived are extremely powerful. You'll have to train hard.
Thank you, King Kai.
First, let's see how well you can run on this high-gravity planet. Chase Bubbles and try to catch him. If you do, we can move on to the next test.
Sounds easy enough.
Go, Bubbles.
For the first stage of our training, we must catch Bubbles, which like in the anime is far more difficult than it appears, given that we can't fucking run!
Well done. Now you must hit Gregory on top of his head with this heavy mallet. Don't go easy on him because he is a flying cricket.
We manage to corner him under this tree and bash his skull in. And so our training with King Kai comes to an end and we learn a new technique, the Kaioken. No, the Kamehameha. Wait, what? Goku doesn't learn the Kamehameha from King Kai. He learns it way before. Fuck it. Goku is wished back to life and we arrive at Kami's lookout. Oh my god. Maybe it's just his overworld sprite.
You're looking very fit, Goku. I'm really worried though. These Saiyans are true monsters. Be careful.
Don't worry, Mr. Popo, and thanks.
This is the first and final time we will visit this level. Some poor level designer spent hours recreating Kami's lookout and we're only here for about a minute. There's a lot of this in this game. They go to all this trouble to create these areas and sprites only to never use them. It's truly bizarre. It feels rushed while also being painstakingly detailed. You can tell that some of the people who worked on this game genuinely cared about it. It's just a shame that they had to care about this piece of shit. We fly down to the snowy area. Apart from rescuing this little boy and fighting this dinosaur, there isn't much to do in this area. It's an excellent opportunity for us to put our new move to the test, the iconic Kamehameha.
It's fucking crap!
It's not even blue. Why is everything in this game so shit? Could we just not have one thing be right? Why can't they just make it blue? Blue was invented in 2002, I'm pretty sure. The box art is blue. Of course, they must have known that blue was a color. As we enter the city, we talk to this little girl who's very interested in the stock market.
I wonder how the stock market's doing today. Do you like my girl voice? I just like to hang out at the mall and do my nails.
Walking around the city, the residents appear to be very concerned about something. But what exactly? This part of the game is extremely confusing. So there's apparently a bank robbery going on, and these guys here who are aimlessly wandering around are the robbers. It's puzzling because they simply ignore you, even if you walk right up to them. They don't even acknowledge you. They barely fight back when you attack. It's all very confusing. To get to the next boss encounter, we need to pass through this military checkpoint. This level feels like it belongs in a different game.
So this is Kakarot, eh? Doesn't look too tough to me. I sense Kakarot's power has grown since Raditz was here. You should be able... I sense Kakarot's power has grown since Raditz was here. You should still be able to handle him easily, though, Nappa. I'll crush the little traitor, Vegeta.
Is that him? This is the whole thing?
Both the boss fights with Nappa and Vegeta follow the same pattern as the Raditz fight. Get a few hits in and then scurry away while your friends and family do nothing to help you.
What do you even do?
Defeating Vegeta causes him to change into his giant ape form.
Since you don't have your tail, wouldn't expect you to know the form of a true Saiyan. Only the sight of a moon will reveal it. Watch and learn, weakling.
But don't get too excited because this isn't some epic boss battle. It's just a cutscene. Yajirobe appears out of nowhere and slashes off Vegeta's tail, restoring him to normal. It would be extremely bewildering if you had never seen this part of the anime before. They didn't even bother making Yajirobe a sprite. It only displays this horribly pixelated screenshot.
Hey, Yajirobe is here. He cut off Vegeta's tail. It's about time he did something useful.
Look, he's transforming back to normal.
No! This isn't possible! My tail!
Let go, Yajirobe. Without his tail, Vegeta can't transform anymore. Gohan? Oh no! Gohan is beginning to transform now too!
Sorry, I took it a bit too far there. Ignore the coughing. Your time's at an end, okay, motherfucker?
Wow, Gohan sure did a number on Vegeta. We need to kill Vegeta now that he's vulnerable. Stop! Don't do it, Krillin! That's not the way to end this! But Goku, after all he's done to our friends, you're not just gonna let him get away. I don't feel right about this, Krillin. We need to show him mercy. Okay, Goku, I just hope we don't end up regretting this.
I've somehow been defeated by this common Saiyan. I'll have my revenge once I recover from this. Perhaps I'll go back to Namek and collect the Dragon Balls there. Then eternal life and limitless power will be mine.
Are you sure you transcribed that right? What does it say? He is run away?
He is run away!
Sure, he ran away?
Where are you reading? I can't see
He is run away. That's what it says. That's like... So I was like, did you make a typo?
Vegeta makes his escape and rockets off to Namek, with Goku following soon after. And no, I did not edit that. That's how you just appear on the planet. This is, believe it or not, the final level in the game. Remember when Goku had to find these 3 ancient artifacts and make his way through an ancient temple on Namek? Yeah, that was pretty great. One of the best episodes. This temple is a chore to navigate. It doesn't give you much guidance as to what you should do. There are enemies everywhere as well as a slew of teleporters that lead nowhere. When you reach the center, you must place the 3 gems around the Guru's statue. It will pave the way for our next round of boss battles against the Ginyu Force.
We are the Ginyu Force!
Everyone is just wandering around the area. There is no sense of immediacy or threat. We simply use the same strategy as we have for all the other boss fights. Once we've defeated all the members, we can proceed to the ultimate bad guy, Frieza.
Hello, allow us to introduce ourselves. My name is Frieza, and we're a traveling improv group.
The path to Frieza's ship is very straightforward. We just need to fly over a few small islands while defeating Frieza's minions. Now it appears that I'm rushing through this section, but the game doesn't change much from stage to stage. This game is severely lacking in variety. Frieza's ship is surrounded by enemies you can farm for XP. We can board his ship through the roof. Oh yeah, and Vegeta is on our side now. Yeah, just whatever, who cares? Who needs to explain that? I mean, the game certainly doesn't. Despite the fact that there isn't much to do on the ship, it's still quite large. It has an armory as well as a viewing room where you can exit the ship and do some more grinding if necessary. Once again, you can see the level designer's efforts, but there is just simply no content for it. We've passed the point of no return. The final boss will trigger once we enter the rejuvenation chamber. Oof. And another jarring cut.
So this is the little monkey who seeks to spoil my plans. After I've put you down, I'll find another way to gain immortality through the Dragon Balls. I cannot be defeated.
The final boss, like most of the game's elements, is underwhelming. There is no special strategy for defeating Frieza. It proceeds in the same manner as the other boss fights. The only difference is that Frieza's transformations will take place gradually throughout the fight.
Congratulations, Saiyan! You've actually pushed me to my next form! Prepare for a true battle now! Wipe that smirk off your face, monkey! My third form is far more powerful than this one! Behold! I'm impressed! It looks like you will be the first to witness my final and most awesome form! Do you realize now that you can't win?
Don't listen to him, Goku! You can do it!
I've had enough of your mouth, little one!
Oh, fuck nuggets.
Krillin, no!
That's not funny.
How dare you, Frieza? You pushed me too far now. I've become a Super Saiyan. Your time here is at an end. Super or not super, you are taking your last breaths, monkey. This planet is breaking under the stress of our battle. Die!
And Goku eventually transforms into a Super Saiyan. I suppose it's cool that the stage morphs into a destroyed version of Namek. It helps to sell the strengths of these two combatants during this fight. Ah, who am I kidding? It looks like shit. The fighting system is just too simple to bear any resemblance to the spectacle of these battles. And with that, Frieza has been defeated and the game is over.
Beaten by a monkey. Ow. At least I die knowing that you will go with this planet's destruction.
Live or die, I can rest knowing that your evil stops here.
This game, as I mentioned near the beginning of this retrospective, is extremely short. Even if you complete all the side content, you should only need a little more than a couple of hours to complete the game.
The evil tyrant Frieza was defeated at the hands of Goku, the legendary Super Saiyan. Back on the planet Earth, Goku's friends used the power of the newly restored Dragon Balls.
Oh, fucking goddamn it.
Back on the planet.
Shush. I have to wait for you to be quiet so I can go. Alright.
Back on the planet Earth, Goku's friends use the power of the newly restored Dragon Balls to wish all of Frieza's victims back to life. The Namekians, now on Earth and without a world of their own, wonder what the future will hold for their people.
This game is a far cry from the action-filled adventures that Dragon Ball Z is known for. The battles aren't fun, over-the-top airborne fistfights that you expect from the series. They have all been reduced down into very bland and tedious ground-based affairs. Battling enemies is both frustrating and boring, thanks to the touchy hit detection and extremely repetitive fights. Character and enemy movements are bland and uneventful. Yeah, there are some scenes from the show included, but they don't make the action any more exciting or interesting. They're just there. If you're new to Dragon Ball Z, you will be utterly perplexed in what is even going on. It has sloppy setups and transitions, and there are no elaborate sequences to demonstrate the passage of time. You just appear in new locations. Since the game is all taking place from Goku's perspective, it is very limited in scope. Now, I've made it no secret that I'm not really a fan of Goku as a character.
Because he's a piece of shit father and a terrible grandfather, and he sucks and he's stupid and I hate him.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
But the thing is, in this game, he isn't really much of a character at all. And that is this game's biggest flaw. It completely fails to capture the essence of the anime or the manga. The entire experience feels like a bootleg game you'll find for 50 cents at a garage sale. A legacy is something that is left behind for you to be remembered by. But I think for all of us, this is a legacy we'd want to forget. It's fucking shit. After the delightful game that was the Legacy of Goku, I'm sure everyone was waiting with bated breath for the sequel. And as fate would have it, we only had to hold out for a year before the Legacy of Goku II was released. My first exposure to this game came from watching behind the scenes footage of its development. It had to have been a bonus feature on a DVD or something, because this was before YouTube and there is no way I was watching videos online with my crappy early 2000s internet. And to tell you the truth, if I hadn't seen this behind the scenes, I probably would have avoided this game like the plague. In the end, I decided to rent it from the video store in my neighbourhood, which is pretty unusual considering that renting Game Boy Advance games was not the norm back when I was growing up. This store was the only one in the area that offered this service. I popped the cartridge in my Game Boy, not expecting much, and I was pleasantly surprised. It is astounding how much the developers improved on the train wreck that was the first game. To be fair though, it would have been pretty hard to make it any worse. Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku II was launched for the Game Boy Advance in 2003. It was produced by Webfoot Technologies, the same company that developed the first game. It was the first and only Dragon Ball Z game created in the United States to be released in Japan under the name Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku II International in 2004. The game featured some changes as all the characters were given new profile images and their names were reverted to their original Japanese names. Though the game features RPG elements like a leveling system, The Legacy of Goku II is more of an action-adventure game. The game opens up 16 years into the future, where we will be playing as teenage Trunks. This short tutorial sequence takes place during the events of the TV special Dragon Ball Z: The History of Trunks. It's actually really cool that the game does feature this element of the anime, instead of just sticking strictly to the regular episodes. In this alternative timeline, androids 17 and 18 have pretty much destroyed Earth and killed almost all of the Z fighters, with Gohan and Trunks being the only two remaining. With the first line of dialogue, you can immediately see an improvement to the presentation. The text boxes are larger and easier to read, and also the character portraits are much better.
Oh my god.
What did they do to your face? It looks like he's been storing nuts for the winter. Perhaps I talked too soon. Some of the artwork in this game still comes across as a bit bootleggy. Before we can be of any use to Gohan in his battle against the androids, we're going to have to first learn how to fight in our role as Trunks. He wants us to use our melee strike to shatter a boulder, and I have to say that this punch feels significantly better than the one in the first game. When you punch, you don't merely stop completely in your tracks, rather you maintain a small amount of forward momentum. This helps to make the attack feel more fluid, which is further helped by the fact that you can also throw a 1-2-3 punch combo. Together, these two factors serve to make the attack feel more natural. When it comes to the controls, these seemingly insignificant adjustments make a world of difference. He wants us to unleash a Ki Blast to destroy the next boulder. Simply tap the button to launch a Ki Blast. We will be able to switch between Ki techniques once we have learnt more. Ki Blasts are much safer to use since they can take out opponents from a distance, but they deplete your Ki gauge. Unlike in the original game, you do not regain Ki over time. Instead, glowing orbs can be gathered through smashing objects and defeating enemies. After the short training session is over, Trunks valiantly tries to achieve Super Saiyan form, but fails to do so. Gohan heads north after detecting the androids and we pursue him. When we catch up with him, Trunks tries to persuade Gohan to let us join the fight against the androids. He eventually caves and agrees to let him go, but then...
Oh! Oh! What the hell is wrong with you?
Waking up hours later in the rain, we can use these flight pedestals to fly to Pepper Town. These pedestals are the only way to fly around levels. They have completely removed the flying mechanics of the first game, which was probably a good choice considering...
It's fucking crap!
It's It's a shame that there's no manual flying within the levels, but they did find a way to incorporate this iconic feature in a much more substantial way, as we'll see in a moment. We discover Gohan being attacked by the androids while running through the wreckage of the town. Gohan has been knocked to the ground and has regrettably perished. When Trunks sees Gohan's dead body, the rage within him explodes and Trunks transforms into a Super Saiyan. There is a stark contrast between this opening and the one from the first game. In the first game, during the very first mission, Goku is looking for pornographic magazines that have no bearing on the plot. This game, on the other hand, provides a solid introduction to the fundamental gameplay and storyline. It's hard to believe that this game was made by the same developers. Back to the present day, we are at the Sun household, where we will now be playing as young Gohan, who is eagerly awaiting the return of his father after his defeat of Frieza. Chi-Chi sends us to go find our math book, which will be added to our quest log, where you can keep track of your current quests and ones that have been completed. We find the book upstairs on the table and bring it back down to the bedroom, where Gohan eventually drifts off to sleep. During this sequence, we travel through the back of the house into the forest. The movement has been drastically improved. The default walking speed has been increased and you can now even run. I know, revolutionary. But seriously, that's how bad the movement was in the first game. The fact that you can run now is a godsend, and even better, you can now also move diagonally. Gone are the days where you have to slowly prod your way through the forest. Continuing deeper into the forest, Goku emerges from the mist.
Bring the meth.
How? How could they get it so wrong? Anyway, this isn't really Goku, and he changes into Frieza, where we participate in our first, I guess, boss battle? The combat at this point does feel a bit like you're just trading slaps, but the controls are nice and responsive. The ability to move diagonally allows for simpler repositioning without having to turn your back on the enemy and flee, like how practically all of the fights in the first Legacy of Goku game played out. Defeating Frieza, Gohan wakes up to reveal that it was all a dream. What a twist! Even though I spoiled it before, but...
You're spoiling it! You're spoiling everything!
Gohan feels that Frieza has returned, and then the telephone rings. It's Krillin. It seems that he felt the same thing. The Z-Fighters are putting together a plan to meet up near where Frieza is landing in order to maybe stop him. Before we go, we take the Saiyan armor that Gohan had hidden in a cave. We proceed to a large signpost that takes us to the world map. This is where the flying has been reintroduced. Flying on the world map allows you to visit various locations. The main quest will be highlighted with a gold star, so you always know where to go to advance the story forwards. We descend into the northern wastelands, where we have to fight our way through mobster tigers and little robots. Defeating foes will give you experience points, which you will want to do since levels will increase your stats. You can check your stats on the character screen in the pause menu. Stats can also be increased by using capsules located all throughout the world. They're a one-time use item with a permanent stat increase. Another handy feature to leveling up is that upon reaching the next level, all of your health and ki will be fully restored. We finally meet up with the rest of the Z-Fighters. Frieza and his father King Cold make their way to Earth. When they arrive on Earth, they are met by Trunks, who transforms into a Super Saiyan and effortlessly defeats not just all of Frieza's soldiers, but also Frieza himself, as well as his father. This entire encounter takes place in a cutscene instead of you getting to fight Frieza and King Cold. I can sort of see why they didn't make this part playable, especially since we recently had a boss fight against Frieza, and they'd have to make Trunks really powerful in this fight just to get the scene right. But I still think it was a bit of a missed opportunity, because it would have been nice to have gone to fight against King Cold, who appears very seldom in games.
Now, I'm sure you're all wondering why I brought you here.
Snacks! To kill us! To kill Snacks!
Trunks explains after the fight that Goku is about to return to Earth. Goku in fact does, and lands close to where everyone was waiting a short time later. Trunks then tells Goku about the future in which the androids arrive and slaughter all of the Z-Fighters in a massive battle. He offers Goku heart medication to help him fight off a heart virus that he would eventually contract. He also instructs Goku not to tell anyone about his parents, Vegeta and Bulma.
What's so funny?
The remainder of the Z Fighters are notified of the android danger, which motivates them to train hard for the next 3 years. Gohan returns home with his father. From here, we are free to roam around for a bit. When exploring certain areas of the map, there will be a jar icon in the upper right corner. This signifies that the animals in the region have been contaminated by Garlic Jr.'s black water mist. This is the game's method of integrating the Garlic Jr. saga without really having to include it, which is fine with me. For those who are unaware, the Garlic Jr. saga was an anime exclusive filler arc, which I always dreaded when it appeared on TV. Like much filler in the anime, it contributes nothing to the story and merely serves to fill the time. Therefore, I'm glad that the game chooses to pass over it. These places do contain some capsules, but they are largely utilised for grinding character levels, which I'll go into more depth a little bit later on because I have a lot to say about that. Even though Goku just arrived home, he decides that it is already time for us to leave for training. Husband of the year.
I have no idea how you're still married.
We're headed for West City to find Piccolo. Why would Piccolo be in West City, you might ask? Well, the thing you have to understand about that is it is here we are introduced to the arbitrary missions that we will be given to progress through the game. As in the first game, we will face numerous hurdles that will impede our progress through the story. Most of them, like this one, make no sense. Hercule is staging a parade across town, but they have come to a halt because Hercule is craving an open-faced club sandwich. We don't give a shit about this, but we do care about meeting up with Piccolo, who is waiting behind the parade float that is blocking the road. Instead of simply flying over it, we must now complete a series of fetch quests. This includes going to an electronics store, delivering a newspaper, and saving a group of kids who were nearly killed in a bus crash. After that, we can grab a sandwich and offer it to Hercule, who will move the parade float out of the way. Now, I have no issue in having to do little missions in order to progress the story. My issue with this game's quest is that they're all pretty much the same. They usually just involve you finding something and bringing it to the right place. My other issue with them is that the reasons for stopping progression is kind of dumb. Gohan can fly, this isn't a secret. I mean, they could have come up with something just a little bit better. You know, maybe think about it a little, like 10 seconds more. And come up with something. Okay, that's my issue. We meet with Piccolo, whom we can now play as. Despite the game's title, The Legacy of Goku, Goku is barely present, which makes a lot of sense if you're familiar with the Android/Cell saga. We get to see the story through the perspective of numerous characters, which allows for a lot more detail because we aren't limited to just one. This was one of the first game's greatest flaws. Dragon Ball Z features a vast ensemble cast, and being limited to simply playing as Goku made the game not only very short, but also quite disconnected. Capsule Corp branded platforms can be found all over the world. They serve as save points as well as the means of switching between characters. The main disadvantage of this approach is that if you need to change characters halfway through a level, you must either continue playing and hope to discover a new save point, or backtrack through a level to a prior save location. This occurs frequently since certain areas can only be accessed by certain characters. In terms of what is going on right now in the story, not a whole lot. As Piccolo, we can enter this jungle area and help out a farmer who is having a dinosaur problem. They are trampling his crops and we must stop them since we require a key to enter this area, despite the fact that we could simply fly over the wall. Okay, I'm gonna stop whining about this now, but you get my point. I know I applauded the game earlier for omitting the Garlic Jr. saga filler, but they have effectively replaced it with different filler, which isn't especially compelling. After finishing all of the tasks in West City, we are faced by Cooler, who is on the lookout for Goku. We won't be able to battle him right now, because he'll be waiting for us on New Namek. How do we get to New Namek? This is a good time to discuss the game's 2 collection quests. The first entails locating 25 golden capsules. These can be found laying on the ground in the wild, in buildings, or given to you for completing side missions. The second goal is to locate 7 lost Namekians spread throughout the game world. Finding all 7 is how you gain passage to New Namek, but they are spread out so widely throughout the game that these are one of the last things to be completed. Before leaving town, we pay a visit to Bulma at Capsule Corp. It provides us a scanner that serves as a map as well as a tool to scan enemies and NPCs to learn more about them. The scanning function isn't really that useful, at least I never really used it much. But the map is, as it marks where entrances are, save points, and shows where you haven't been yet. After the 3-year time skip, each character gains a level and learns a new key move. We will now be able to switch between key techniques at any time. It's possible to charge up and unleash a more powerful blast by holding down the button. Depending on the attack, a different amount of ki is needed. A wide range of techniques are available for each character, and they all have their signature moves. On a Membo Island, we meet up with Yamcha, Tien and Bulma, who is carrying a baby. Goku advises her to go for her own safety, but she insists on seeing the androids first and then leaving. When Krillin inquires about the baby, Gohan guesses it's Yamcha's. Yamcha say that he is not the father. To Krillin and Gohan's surprise, Goku claims that Vegeta is the father and that the baby's name is Trunks.
So then, where's Daddy?
Unfortunately, our last conversation was,
You got me pregnant, you idiot!
After waiting for a while, there still has been no sign of the androids. Yajirobe arrives with sensu beans from Korin and leaves after refusing to fight. The sensu beans can be used from the menu to completely refill your character's health and ki. You are limited to only carrying 3 at a time, however you can get more from Korin by trading him 3 fish for a sensu bean. Realizing that they won't be able to sense the androids, they decide to descend down into the city and search for them the old-fashioned way. Wandering around for a bit, Yamcha is ambushed by the 2 androids. They destroy a section of the city before Goku convinces them to fight in a more secluded spot. The game then cuts to follow Vegeta, who is training to become a Super Saiyan. He finally achieves the form and returns to Earth to aid in the battle against the androids. Goku begins his battle with Android 19 as we make our way to the arena. Goku's heart virus is starting to take a toll on him as we approach the battle. He was warned about this by Trunks, but it didn't happen until much later than he had predicted. This is because Trunks' meddling within the timeline had inadvertently altered events. Vegeta arrives just in time.
Hey, Vegeta!
Kakarot, you idiot, what are you doing?
Dying? Mostly.
And we get to fight Android 19. When Vegeta achieves Super Saiyan, it was also unlocked for us to use during gameplay. To turn Super Saiyan, you must obviously be playing as a character that could turn Super Saiyan, but also this yellow gauge must be filled. It merely acts as a cooldown timer and fills up automatically over a short period of time. Another requisite to transforming is having ki. There's no set amount of ki that you need to have, but the fuller the ki gauge, the longer you can maintain the transformation. While Super Saiyan, your movement speed is increased and all of your attacks do more damage. The ki gauge will gradually drain while in this form until it is empty and you revert back to normal. The transformation can be prolonged by collecting ki orbs and eating sensu beans. It does take a bit of time to transform, so you want to do so in a safe place because if you're interrupted mid-transformation, you'll be thrown back into the cooldown period before you can try again. Transformations are a great addition to the gameplay, and I appreciate that the requirements for them aren't too stringent that you never get to utilize them. When you can transform, it's usually worth it, even if it's merely to enhance your movement speed. Vegeta easily dispatches Android 19, and we pursue Android 20 who has fled. As Vegeta, we can easily overtake and defeat him. In an attempt to activate Androids 17 and 18, he scrambles away before we can destroy him. Upon his arrival, Trunks is taken aback to learn that androids 19 and 20 aren't the same androids he warned the Z Fighters about 3 years ago. This comes as a complete shock to everyone. At this moment, Vegeta realizes that the boy from the future is actually his son's future self, thanks to Piccolo calling Trunks by his name. Bulma then remembers seeing Dr. Gero's picture in one of her father's science magazines, indicating that Android 20 is actually Dr. Gero, who rebuilt himself as an android. Bulma also recalls reading about Dr. Gero's laboratory, which is located somewhere in the northern mountains. As we pursue Android 20 across the mountains, we begin to encounter a few of these numbered coloured barriers. Each colour represents a different character, and the number is the level that the character must reach before they can get past the barrier. I am not a fan of this system. Like at all. It feels like an arbitrary roadblock to progression. It takes one of the game's best aspects, which is getting to play as multiple characters, and makes it a bit of a chore. Since they all level up separately, it forces you to have to do a lot of grinding if you haven't been playing as a certain character for a while. Honestly, if you want to 100% this game, a lot of your playtime is gonna be spent grinding. The berries prevent you from entering places with too many high level enemies, but they also prevent those with the skill from passing through and progressing at their own pace. After all, this is an action-adventure game, and I believe that if you've mastered the mechanics enough to get through a challenging section, you should be able to do so regardless of the level. The majority of locations that are walled off are optional, but there are a handful that are not, and it can really ruin the game's pacing. We must locate and destroy 3 power generators in order to deactivate the laser gate that is barring our path further into the mountains. 2 aren't too difficult to find and destroy, but the third one requires you to play this rather frustrating minigame. There's this dinosaur, that has made her nest around the generator for some stupid reason, and will only leave if we bring all 3 of her eggs down the hill. Sounds easy, right?
Wrong!
Because while carrying an egg, you cannot melee attack or use ki, and you cannot under any circumstance take damage, or the egg will break and you will have to start all over again. If an enemy so much as scrapes by you, too bad, broken egg, start again. As soon as the enemy gets a whiff of you, they will make a beeline to your location, and it's probably already too late. This is the worst mission in the entire game. It's hard, it's frustrating as hell, it's not fun, and worst of all, you have to do it 3 times. By destroying all of the generators, we are able to get through the gate and uncover the door to Dr. Giro's lab, but we're too late. He's already turned on the other androids.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Dr. Giro's orders are ignored by 17 and 18, who instead activate another android, Android 16. In an attempt to stop them, Trunks blows up the lab. With the androids free to roam around the world, we track them down and try to stop them before they can cause any trouble. For the fight against 18, it doesn't matter who you play, because when you bring her down to about half health, the fight will end and you automatically lose, but at least Krillin gets a peck on the cheek. No matter if you're playing as Vegeta or not, he will get all butthurt and fly off. We must travel to the lookout to persuade Kami to fuse with Piccolo so he can obtain enough power to fight the androids. Kami needs some time to think about this though. In the meantime, Trunks and Gohan head out to investigate a second time machine that was spotted in the forest. This is the first time since the prologue that we get to play as Trunks. I love how the devs went to the trouble of changing the sprites of the characters to resemble what they looked like at the time in the anime, for the most part. Not all the time. All of the character sprites look great, with a few exceptions. They don't look derpy like some of the character portraits. They all have unique animations for their attacks and movements, with the standout animations being the transformations. They look pretty good. The only thing that they are missing is the aura around the characters. Overall, the graphics are really good, especially for a Game Boy Advance game. The environments are detailed and vibrant, although some of the areas do look a little bit too similar, making it a bit harder to remember which regions certain things are in when revisiting levels. But this is definitely not the case for the more iconic locations, like Kami House and the Lookout, which look fantastic. The Lookout especially, which is quite large. You can even fly down to visit Korin. The game uses Bruce Faulkner's music and it is just amazing. It fits perfectly with the tone of the game and gives me some serious nostalgia from the dub that I watched as a kid. We discover the time machine Trunks used to travel here is the same model as the one sitting in the forest. However, the fact that it's completely grown over suggests that it's been sitting here for some time. Trunks believes that whoever was the one to use this time machine is the reason why the events in this timeline has changed so much. I mean, it's definitely not him. While looking around the area, we come across an eggshell and the creature's husk that had hatched from it. Meanwhile, Kami has picked up on the emergence of a new threat and has decided that the time has come for him to join forces with Piccolo.
Well, I'm sure you're already familiar with the technique.
Right.
All right now. Lower.
Yeah, not falling for that.
I didn't think so.
Piccolo's transformation is now available to him thanks to the fusion. It works in a similar way to the Super Saiyan transformations, but with the extra benefit of health regen. The animation when he removes his headgear and cloak is one of my favourites. After gaining a few levels, we make our way into Ginger Town, where we come across all these abandoned clothes on the ground.
Hello, friend.
Our first encounter with Imperfect Cell is pretty easy, since we only need to bring him down to half health. He manages to blow off one of Piccolo's arms, but we are able to get him to start monologuing. Using the strongest warrior's cells, Dr. Gero built Cell, a flawless fighting machine. When he saw the project was taking too long, Dr. Gero decided to call it quits. The project was then secretly carried out by a supercomputer. It was designed to catch the DNA of Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo as they fought on Earth. Frieza, who arrived on Earth and was killed by future Trunks, had his DNA taken as well, with many other fighters having their most effective strategies and abilities copied from them. Imperfect Cell admits that his primary goal is to absorb the infinite power cores of both Androids 17 and 18 and achieve his perfect form. With androids 17 and 18 destroyed in his timeline, Imperfect Cell decided to steal Trunks' time machine by killing another version of future Trunks and to come back to this time. Thanks to his monologuing,
You sly dog! You got me monologuing!
Piccolo has time to regenerate his arm. More of the Z fighters arrive to help and Cell ends up flying off. Trunks and Krillin then decide to return to Dr. Gero's lab to destroy Cell before he has time to grow.
We're aborting Cell!
Goku has been recuperating from the heart virus at the Kame house. He's out of bed and back to his old self.
Bring the meth.
So, will we finally be playing as Goku? Well, no. We are going to the lookout to take advantage of the hyperbolic time chamber, where we can complete a year's worth of training in a single day. Vegeta, being impatient as ever, insists on going in first, so Vegeta and Trunks are the first to enter the chamber.
Move it, boy! Help me!
Have fun, Trunks!
In the meantime, Piccolo must try to buy some time, so he travels to the Kami house to confront the androids who have arrived on the island in search of Goku. If the androids are destroyed before Cell can absorb them, he will be unable to achieve his perfect form. We agree to relocate to a more remote location and begin fighting Android 17, and the fight plays out pretty much how every other fight in the game plays out. This is one of the fighting mechanics' flaws. The best defense is a good offense due to the fact that there isn't really a way to play defensively. There's no dedicated dodge move and you cannot block attacks, so all the fights usually just devolve into trading punches with each other. You can use key attacks, but you're better off preserving your key for maintaining your transformation. When you punch an opponent, they will get knocked back, giving you a small window to follow up with another attack. If you time your punches right, you can keep them in the stun state and get in a lot of damage, without them being able to retaliate. I found this strategy to work against every boss, no matter what character I was playing as. Paired with the mandatory level grinding, it makes the bosses pretty trivial. This isn't to say that playing the game isn't enjoyable despite these issues. Cell tracks us down before he can destroy any of the androids, and 17 gets absorbed, allowing Cell to achieve his semi-perfect form. With Piccolo down and out, Tien arrives to give Android 18 a chance to escape. Tien almost forever sleeps himself trying to hold off Cell before Goku uses his instant transmission to save him and Piccolo. Vegeta and Trunks emerge from the hyperbolic time chamber with newfound strength. And with his enhanced power, we track down Cell on some islands where he is currently on a quest for Android 18. Both Trunks and Vegeta acquire their ascended Super Saiyan form after training in the chamber, and this game is the best at demonstrating the advantages and disadvantages of this form entirely through its gameplay. When in this state, your attack receives a large damage boost, but you feel extremely slow and sluggish when moving around. The speed for power trade-off is undoubtedly worth it during boss fights, but wow, do you miss the traditional Super Saiyan form while traveling around. Because Vegeta believes in his own hype too much,
I am the hype!
He lets Cell absorb Android 18, transforming him into perfect Cell and promptly defeating Vegeta. Despite the fact that in the game we are kicking Cell's ass, this fight is unwinnable, as at a certain health threshold, the fight will stop with Trunks lamenting that he is too slow. That is when Cell decides that instead of taking them out right then and there, that he is going to host a martial arts tournament in 10 days, the Cell Games. Left beaten and broken on the island shores, the gang decides to bring Android 16 to Capsule Court so he can be repaired, as he may be useful in the fight against Cell. During the repairs, it is found that Android 16 had a bomb inside of him, that if set off would cause devastating destruction. To be on the safe side, they remove it. Hope they don't regret that. Goku and Gohan emerge from the hyperbolic time chamber and are quickly brought up to date with the current situation. Because Kami is now gone, they need a new Namekian guardian in order to bring back the Dragon Balls. Goku instant transmissions to New Namek and brings back Dende. Dende restores the Dragon Balls that are now capable of granting 3 wishes, though this could be reduced to 2 if one wish took too much effort. Finally, we are able to play as Goku. Near the end of the game. We used the remaining days before the tournament to track down the 7 Dragon Balls. To help with this task, we can talk to Bulma, who will give us the Dragon Radar. Most of the Dragon Balls can be found just lying around in levels and behind barriers that we previously couldn't pass through, such as in the Northern Mountain where we must be level 40 as Goku to get in. There are a bunch of dinosaurs to fight through in order to reach the Dragon Ball. This is a great place to grind out levels as all the enemies give out a lot of experience. I spent so much time here, it's not even funny. In the Snowy Highlands, there is a sort of mini dungeon to navigate through. At the end of the dungeon, we will face off against General Tao. He is really easy to beat, and our reward is the 4-star Dragon Ball. With all of the Dragon Balls collected, it is now time to take on the Cell games. You have to be a minimum of level 40 with Goku to even enter the Cell games arena, which gives you a bit of a hint of what the game roughly expects all of the other characters to be at. Hercule is here, getting ready to take credit for all of our hard work.
Oh, fuck.
When the tournament commences, Goku decides that he will be the first one to fight. Because we are at such a high level, the next few fights are honestly really easy. This is a bit of a problem with a leveling system like this. It is really easy to trivialize a lot of the fights even if you don't intend to. Goku gives up and decides to send his young son out to fight. Father of the Year, everyone. Once again, the fight plays out pretty much like all of the others. Just keep punching. Android 16, being the gentleman that he is,
I want to murder Son Goku.
Yeah, fuck Goku!
Tries to stop Cell by blowing up the bomb that is inside of him. But unfortunately, it has been removed. Whoops. Cell then summons his children to take out the other Z fighters, as yet another bunch of easy fights. We do get to fight with all of the other characters, which is a really nice touch, giving all of the characters a bit of a spotlight during the climax of the game. At this point, Hercule uncovers the head of Android 16, which, surprisingly, can still talk. Android 16 pleads with Hercule to take him near Gohan. Hercule obliges despite his fear, and the android's head lands between Gohan and Cell. Android 16 delivers some counsel and words of encouragement to Gohan, saying it was good to fight sometimes, to defend loved ones, and to safeguard the world he loves. Perfect Cell then destroys Android 16's head. Gohan snaps. With his rage reaching its boiling point, he is pushed to a new level of power, Super Saiyan 2. Since Gohan is now invincible, you can beat the living daylights out of Cell, causing him to spew out Android 18.
Ugh, yuck.
Reverting him back to his semi-perfect form. Unfortunately, Cell does not take defeat well and initiates a self-destruct sequence powerful enough to wipe out the planet. Goku utilizes his instant transmission ability to transport him away, at the expense of his own life and King Kai's.
Hey, King Kai, what should I do with Cell?
God, my fucking knee! That's my knee! Damn it!
But Cell is able to regenerate, and using a single ki blast, he impales Trunks and kills him. Goku communicates to Gohan from the other world via King Kai. Goku encourages Gohan to believe in his power, and with newfound hope, Gohan prepares one last Kamehameha. The beam struggle between the two combatants is intense. Suddenly, a surprise Gallic blaster from Vegeta leaves Cell stunned and very distracted. Gohan seizes the opportunity, encouraged by Goku, and unleashes all of the rest of his strength into the Kamehameha wave, which overwhelms Cell and elopes him in the enormous energy, fully disintegrating him. After the battle ends, the heroes make their way to Kami's lookout. The Z-Fighters attempt to wish Goku back to life after wishing all of Cell's victims back, but fail to revive Goku because he had already been wished back to life once before, and Shenron cannot revive a person more than once. However, Goku decides to stay in the other world after explaining that he seems to attract evil people, so it would be better for the Earth to live in peace without him. Gohan returns home, and a post-credits scene plays out where Trunks returns to his timeline and kills both of the androids and Cell. And that's it for the main story. I must say, this game has a really substantial story mode. I did brush over a lot of the smaller details of the campaign, but it will take the average player a good 12 to 15 hours to complete. Unlike with a lot of Dragon Ball Z games, you don't necessarily need to know the story beforehand in order to be able to understand what is going on. Of course, it obviously does help, but it is by no means necessary. The weakest aspect of the main campaign has to be the pacing. The filler type missions paired with the mandatory grinding can really slow down the progression, but just because we're done with the story doesn't mean that we're done with the game, as we still have some side content to complete. During the post-game, you will no longer be able to play as Goku. Fortunately, it is mandatory for you to open all of the areas exclusive to Goku before the end, so you can't lock yourself out of content. First, we're going to finish collecting all of the golden capsules. Collecting all of them and bringing them to Professor Briefs will reward you with a gold capsule that lets you access the overworld map at any point. Well, I guess not at any point, as you can't do so from interiors. Next, we're going to search for the missing Namekians. Once we've found all 7, we return to the ship near the Capsule Corporation and speak with the scientist. He'll ask us to accompany the refugees home to New Namek. When we arrive, we can talk to this guy right outside of the ship that will give us the key to Grandpa Gohan's house. Inside the house, we can grab the +5 power, strength and endurance capsules. Next, we head into a cave just outside of the settlement. Here, we'll finally be able to fight Cooler. Despite him being an endgame boss, he isn't particularly difficult. Once he's dead, collect the +5 capsule that he drops and head through the door to the north. Here we have a level 50 Piccolo barrier. What's behind the barrier? Well, a trophy. Now what are these trophies for, you may ask? Each character has their own trophy associated with them. All of the trophies are behind level 50 barriers, meaning that you need to grind up all of the characters to level 50 to collect all of the trophies. Yay! Except for Goku, whose trophy is awarded to you just for finishing the game. Collecting all of the trophies will unlock Hercule as a playable character. Hercule has absurdly low stats, but his special ability, which allows him to freeze time, means that he can eventually take out just about any enemy. Eventually. And after this, there is even more grinding to do if you want the secret ending. Look, I've already gone over my gripes with the grinding in this game, and like I said before, it's not that I hate grinding, I just do not like the way this game implements it. When you are grinding, you're just gaining levels. There are no rare items that might have a chance of dropping from an enemy. You don't learn new skills, it's just killing enemies over and over again. And with Hercule's terrible stats, it just accentuates the monotony of this system. I never got to level 50 with Hercule as a kid. I originally played the game on the original Game Boy Advance, so there's no way I had enough batteries for this. The grind is not worth it at all. All you get is a cutscene with Hercule lying in an interview about how he was the one that defeated Cell. Lame. Dragon Ball Z The Legacy of Goku II is leaps and bounds above its predecessor. Almost all of the issues with the first game have been addressed and fixed. It honestly makes the Legacy of Goku 1 look like a proof of concept, and this is the actual game. Despite a few gripes with the leveling system and the pacing in certain areas not being the best, this is a really solid game. The controls are great, there are plenty of areas to explore, and the storytelling is pretty competent, all things considered. I even think that non-Dragon Ball Z fans will find a lot to like about this game. Goku's legacy has definitely been redeemed with this game, even though he's hardly even in it. Dragon Ball Z The Legacy of Goku II is way better than the first game, because the first game was fucking shit. It should come to no surprise that this series got off with a rocky start with The Legacy of Goku. Oh my god. In spite of this, the game's sequel was able to vastly improve upon the terrible performance of the first installment, to the point that many people consider The Legacy of Goku II to be a Game Boy Advance classic. Due to the overwhelmingly positive response, it was also distributed in Japan. This is the first and only Dragon Ball Z video game to be produced in the United States and then exported to Japan. Now I have a confession to make. It wasn't until quite recently that I found out that Boo's Fury is actually the sequel to The Legacy of Goku II. Mostly due to the fact that it dropped the Legacy of Goku moniker. Given that the Legacy of Goku 2 performed so well, I don't really understand why they decided to drop the title. Yeah, the focus isn't entirely on Goku for this entry, but it was like that for the second game too. In fact, he was in it even less. In any case, at least there is no misunderstanding about which story arc this game will cover. Because this game follows the same story arc as the Martian Buu saga, which is my least favourite Dragon Ball Z saga, I'm wondering if it's going to drag the game down a bit. Well, I guess there's only one way to find out. Buu saga, or like the Buu saga.
Why are you the way that you are?
Dragon Ball Z Buu's Fury was released for the Game Boy Advance in 2004. It is the third and final installment in the Legacy of Goku series. It was re-released in 2006 as part of a Game Boy Advance 2-pack that had both Buu's Fury and Dragon Ball GT transformations on the same cartridge, even though Dragon Ball GT Transformation is not the sequel to Buu's Fury. Trust me, I checked. But they are both developed by Webfoot Technologies. I guess they didn't want to pair it with Taiketsu, because they actually wanted to sell some copies.
Hello. Yuck, what the fuck?
Like all the other games in the series, Buu's Fury is an action-adventure game with RPG elements. The game opens up with a recap of the end of the Legacy of Goku 2. In a nutshell, Gohan reaches Super Saiyan 2 while fighting Cell, but he gets too confident and Goku has to teleport the inflated Cell to King Kai's planet.
Hey King Kai, what should I do with Cell?
Where they all explode and die. Cell, however, survives and is eventually defeated by Gohan. The Z Fighters then collect the 7 Dragon Balls and try to wish Goku back to life, but he refuses because he believes that doing so would put Earth in danger. Despite this terrible loss, the world was finally at peace. Or was it? Fucked if I know. Goku, Bubbles, Gregory and King Kai are on the Snake Way. Goku wants to go to Grand Kai's planet to meet the fighters there. The group needs to catch a plane to get to the Grand Kai's planet, and they need to return to King Yema's palace to get to that plane. They soon arrive on the Grand Kai planet, where the game teaches the player the game's mechanics. There are fighters in the area who can teach us how to use the controls. Buu's Fury functions similarly to the previous entry. You can sprint around attacking enemies with punches and ki blasts, but this time you can also block incoming blows. Yay! This is one of the features I hoped they would include, and they did, so I'm pleased with this change. It assists in coping with the issue of becoming stun locked in the midst of a barrage of attacks. While it did not occur frequently, it did occur and was inconvenient as you had no way of dealing with it. The HUD hasn't changed. We still have the red bar indicating our health, the green bar representing ki, and the blue bar representing our experience. When we accumulate enough experience, the bar will fill and the character we're playing as will level up. Unlike the previous 2 titles, every time a character levels up, we gain 3 skill points that we can use to improve our stats. There is strength, power and endurance that can be increased in any way you choose. Reaching certain levels will also increase a character's ki attacks. For example, Goku's Kamehameha will start at level 1 and has a max level of 3. As it gets higher in level, the beam will widen and become stronger. Instant transmission is one of the new techniques that we now have access to, but Goku is the only one who can utilize it. It enables us to teleport to an enemy or to an object like buttons and chests. He will, however, instantaneously teleport back, which, to be honest, is a little underwhelming. I understand why it works this way. Having a character who can move anywhere would break the levels. However, it would have been fascinating to see levels constructed around this concept. Once we have completed this little tutorial area, we are entered into a tournament held by the Grand Kai to determine who is the strongest, Goku or Pikkon. Pikkon is a strong fighter who was sent to HFIL to take out Frieza and Cell, who are causing trouble. In the anime, Goku actually went with Pikkon to help with this task, but here it's just explained in a text box that Pikkon went and did it himself. Okay, I honestly don't have much of an issue with this because it is just filler. So at the tournament we have to fight through various fighters before making it to the final round. This portion is pretty easy and sort of dull. I think it goes on just a little bit too long. There are a lot of unskippable moments to watch through and they aren't all that intriguing. However, there are a few unique characters that never appear again. It seems to be a bit of a waste, but I admire the effort put forth by the designers. We make it to the final round against Pycon, and halfway through the fight we unlock Goku's Super Saiyan form. The yellow bar on our HUD is the cooldown for the transformations. Whenever it is full, we can transform. The transformations work slightly differently than in the Legacy of Goku II. When a character turns Super Saiyan, instead of the form consuming the ki gauge, it is replaced with another gauge, and once this gauge is drained, the character will revert back. This is a great improvement as you don't have to worry about losing all of your ki from transforming. Turning Super Saiyan is almost always worth it. You hit harder, better, faster and stronger. With the new way the ki gauge works, there's pretty much no downside to turning Super Saiyan. The fight between Goku and Pycon ends in a draw as they both hit the ceiling of the arena at the same time, counting as a ring out. Even though they are both disqualified, the Grand Kai promises that he will still give them private lessons in 200 to 300 years. And that concludes the opening to Boo's Fury. Compared to the Legacy of Goku II, this opening is a bit meh. It does a decent job of explaining the mechanics to the player, however it is rather long. It also doesn't contribute anything to the larger narrative. I'm pretty sure the only reason they chose this filler arc to begin with is to tie into a movie that the game will briefly cover later on. So was sacrificing a stronger opening worth it for this inclusion? No. 7 years have passed since Cell was defeated. Gohan, who is now 17, has stopped training to focus on his studies. His mum believes that he must attend Orange Star High School in order to achieve his academic potential, and so she has made the decision to send him there. When we get to Hercule City, we have time to explore before class begins. Zenny, the currency of this universe, is dropped by slain enemies. We can go into a shop and buy and sell items and equipment. Items are nothing new to the series. There are two types of items, those that can be used by a character and those that are relevant to the story. When the game requires them, the story items are used automatically, but the other items are used as consumables. Food restores a character's health to varying degrees, whilst drinks restore their ki. Consumables can be utilised at any moment, allowing you to use them like in Breath of the Wild and simply gorge yourself throughout a fight. There are a few special consumables, such as the iconic sensu beans that will completely restore health and ki, holy water which boosts the character's stats for 30 seconds, while the Lazarus crystal, as the name suggests, will return you back to life after dying in battle with a small amount of health. The inclusion of equipment is a new feature. Equipment, like consumables, can be purchased from the shops, obtained in chests or dropped by enemies. The latter is probably how you'll get most of your gear. They don't drop all that often, but you'll be fighting so many enemies throughout the game that you'd have to go out of your way not to pick them up. Speaking of picking up items, let me just have a little rant about it. Okay, so the game is laid out into different screens that you move through. Moving to a new screen will reset the previous screen, so all of the enemies will respawn. All of the items and zenny they dropped will disappear if you don't pick them up, which is great for grinding, but bloody annoying when you're trying to pick up items. When an enemy drops an item, you don't just get it automatically. You have to walk over to it and pick it up, which is fine, but really it's not fine, because the item will frequently land near the end of the screen. So you go to pick it up and then the screen will transition to the next before you can reach it, and then it despawns. Okay, rant over. But it still remains in my heart. So what exactly does equipment do? In most cases, equipping it to a character will change their stats. Some will only gain, while others will sacrifice one stat to strengthen another. Some items also have special effects, such as the Goku hat, which gives you an extra skill point if you wear it while leveling up. There are level restrictions that must be satisfied in order to equip an item, but this never became an issue during my playthrough. I enjoyed the inclusion of the equipment system. Sort of. Because it does have some drawbacks that I'll go over later.
At the very least, the added incentive of item drops makes level grinding more enjoyable. To be honest, I never brought anything from the store, so I have no footage of that. While out adventuring, you find more than enough stuff and equipment, so I never felt the urge to go shopping, essentially making the Zenny I collected useless. This chapter covers Gohan's challenges with balancing his school life and his crime-fighting life. He witnesses a bank robbery on his first day of high school, and changes into a Super Saiyan to stop them. As a result, he is given the title Gold Fighter. At school he meets Videl, Hercule's daughter, who genuinely fights trouble in the city. She is immediately suspicious of Gohan and thinks he may be the Gold Fighter, because he resembles the hero, because he is. Afraid of being discovered, Gohan requests that Bulma create a disguise for him to wear while fighting.
Who are you?
I am the unmitigated champion of justice, who tolerates no evil. Great Saiyaman at your service.
I'd say those 2 hours of practice last night just paid off.
We then play out various scenarios fighting crime around Hercule City. It really feels like this section should have been the tutorial. It's not very challenging and does drag on a bit. I really did enjoy this arc in the anime, as it was more of a slice of life kind of setup with a more humorous tone. It was a nice break, especially if you watched it straight after the intensity of the conclusion of the Cell Saga. Unfortunately, a lot of the charm from this arc is gone due to the delivery. A lot of the humour from this section is just lost in the dialogue boxes. Even though a lot of the dialogue is straight up copy-pasted from the Funimation dub, it lacks the good timing and delivery, so it just comes across very flat. The developers were limited by the Game Boy Advance's capabilities, and I'm not really sure how they could have mitigated this issue. It's just one of those snags that comes along when adapting one medium to another. Videl eventually finds out Gohan's true identity by tricking him into confessing.
See you at school. Farewell, citizen.
She agrees to keep it a secret on the condition that Gohan enters the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament. If he refuses, she will tell everyone. Bitch. Cut that. Gohan reluctantly agrees to enter in the tournament. Goku telepathically communicates to Gohan with the help of King Kai. He tells him that he heard about the upcoming tournament and has been given special permission to return to Earth for one day so he can enter. Oh, right. Before it moves on onto the next chapter, the game briefly continues the setup for the Fusion Reborn content, with the foreshadowing of the demon Janinbar. To prepare for the tournament, Gohan does some training with his little brother Goten. Following Goten through the forest, we must complete a little mini-game where he throws rocks at us, and I'm really bad at it. No surprises there. All you have to do is move around the screen until the game decides you have dodged enough. Goten then reveals that he can turn Super Saiyan, and they continue training. Meanwhile, Vegeta is training in his gravity chamber in order to prepare for his fight against Goku during the tournament. Trunks is also in there with him, but is struggling to move around due to the high gravity. He then reveals that he too can turn Super Saiyan. I can't help but feel that the Super Saiyan transformation has become extremely devalued in the Buu saga. Now, this isn't the game's fault, as it is just following the saga's story, but that doesn't mean I won't complain about it. Surprised by this revelation, Vegeta then challenges Trunks to punch him. If he manages to do so, then he will take him to the park. This section annoyed the hell out of me. I couldn't figure out how to hit Vegeta, and he would just jump away every time I got close. Plus, Trunks keeps reverting back and forth between his base form and Super Saiyan form. It turns out if you just run straight at him, you'll be able to hit him.
Well, I didn't say I wouldn't hit you, now did I, Trunks?
Keeping his promise, Vegeta takes Trunks to the park. It's here that the game teaches us how to switch between characters. It can only be done at a save point, and not all characters will be available at all times. During certain story events, you must play as the designated character. As Trunks, we are free to fly around and do some training if we want to. This is a kind of free roaming section where you can go off exploring the world map, but there is a huge issue with this that I'm going to go over a little bit later on in the video. For now we head to Capsule Corp to board the aircraft with the other Z fighters. To help hide all of their identities, but mainly Gohan's identity, they all agree not to turn Super Saiyan in the tournament, even though Gohan doesn't wear anything over his head or face during the entire time he's at the tournament. Whoops. At the gates to the tournament, the Z fighters meet up with Goku. Goten gets to meet his father for the first time in his life, which was a really cute scene in the anime, but not so much here. I find it weird that Goku would get a special pass to come back to Earth for a day to enter a tournament, but not be there when his son was born. Well, Goku has always been a bad dad, so I'm probably just expecting too much. As everyone registers, Trunks discovers that he and Goten will be put in the new Junior Division tournament because they are under 15, and he ain't happy about it. Gohan, Videl, Goku, Android 18, Krillin, Piccolo and Vegeta all qualify to enter the finals of the tournament after scoring high on the punch machine. In the prep room, Goku and the others meet an unusual pair of beings who go by the names Shin and Kibito. Piccolo has an odd feeling about the two right away. Piccolo remarks as they leave that he has a bad feeling about them and that they are strong, to which Goku agrees. The tournament begins with the Junior Division first, and then the Adult Division. Goten and Trunks, who are in the Junior Division, easily defeat their opponents, and I do mean easily. You're basically just wailing on these little kids that have no chance of fighting back. There is one kid with a Karen for a mum that we beat the shit out of. She will be slightly important later, but not that important. Of course the final round is against Goten, and of course we both end up cheating by turning Super Saiyan. But if we both cheated, does it really count as cheating? Yes. Then Trunks is given a special chance to fight Hercule. The Adult Division commences with Krillin easily defeating Pintar. Piccolo is matched against the mysterious Shin, who reveals his true identity. Piccolo then withdraws from the match. Shin then reveals himself to the others as he is actually the Supreme Kai. Videl steps up to fight against the roided out how the fuck do you say that name? Spopovich, that's how you say it. To fight the roided out Spopovich next. This fight is actually the most difficult in the entire game, as crazy as it sounds. Mostly because Videl is really weak. Because she is a woman. Cut that. Guarding all of Spopovich's attacks makes this fight way more doable. You can't win, you just have to bring his health down to a certain point. Spopovich brutally beats her, nearly to death. Gohan? I'm just like making up names now. Gohan helps take her to the hospital, much to Hercule's dismay, when he finds out that he is Videl's boyfriend. I don't know, does he know that they're boyfriend and girlfriend at this point? I can't remember. Was that like that in the anime? I don't remember, I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Gohan has Goku fly to Korans to get Videl a senzu bean, which seems to be the game's way of allowing you to do a little bit of free roaming before continuing the linear story progression. Because when you are in these segments, you cannot leave until the scenarios play out. But the game does provide plenty of breaks like this, which is good as there are a lot of text boxes to read through, and sometimes you just want to go fight some shit. You know what I mean? You get it? You're with the program? I'm not. Where am I? Back at the tournament, Gohan then steps into the ring against Kibito, who demands that he transform into a Super Saiyan. Gohan agrees and then informs him that he would rather take it to the next level, and turns into a Super Saiyan 2. Upon doing this, Gohan is attacked by Spopovich and Yamu, who proceed to drain his energy and then fly off. Kibito stays behind to treat Gohan while the Supreme Kai and others pursue them. Kibito and Gohan follow the others after he has been fully recovered. On the way to their destination, Kibito provides Gohan and us an exposition dump on what is going on. They needed to use Yamu and Spopovich to find the wizard Bumblebee's location. The wizard recruits his minions by utilizing his magical power to seek out people from all over the universe with darkness in their hearts, which is starting to sound a lot like Kingdom Hearts. But we're not going to go into that one. and calling them forth with summoning magic before turning them into his faithful underlings with manipulation sorcery. Babidi is using his underlings to gather a massive amount of energy in order to resurrect Majin Buu, the main antagonist of the game, if that wasn't obvious by the title. Gohan and Kibito catch up with the others and we land down near to where we can fight Babidi. So we journey a little bit forward and we find ourselves blocked behind the dreaded level gates. The feature I disliked the most from the last game has returned, but that doesn't mean that it is as bad as in the last game, right?
Wrong!
Actually, it is even worse here. Like in the last game, you will come across these level gates that will block you from entering a certain area. Some of these areas are optional areas, but many of them gate your progression through the main story. Each character is associated with a different colour. Like this one here is orange, so only Goku can break it open when he is at least level 70. Now this doesn't sound that bad on face value, but there are a few other factors that compound onto this that makes it kind of ruin the fun of the game, at least for me. The max level in Buu's Fury is a whopping 200, which is a lot higher than in the Legacy of Goku II, with the max level of that game only being 50. When I first discovered this, I was dreading the grinding that I thought the game would expect me to do, because there are multiple characters and they do level up individually, so the grinding can be quite monotonous. However, I must say that this didn't become as much of an issue as I first thought it would, and there are a few reasons for this. The characters start the game at much higher levels, all start at the level 60, so you're not starting from level 1 like in the last game. You also gain levels quite quickly, so the grind doesn't feel as grindy. The only bad side to the quick leveling is that you find yourself constantly having to enter the character screen to adjust your stats. But honestly, this is just a bit of a nitpick, as you can just stack up your skill points and do it all in bulk. There is also equipment that you can equip that will help you gain more experience. So the game does give you tools to help with the leveling process, but none of these factors go into alleviating the leveling system's biggest problem. And that problem is that Buu's Fury is way too easy. By the time you reach the level requirements to get through the gates, you are so overpowered. Pair the mandatory level requirements with equipment and you are just destroying everyone with little effort. Some people may think, well, you don't have to use equipment or use the skill points. Okay, so technically that is true, but then you're ignoring half of the game's systems just to fix the difficulty issue. There is almost no challenge in this game. That's why I claimed before that the Videl and Spopovich fight was the hardest in the game, simply because Videl can't be leveled up beforehand and has no equipment. The lack of difficulty takes away from the tension that you're meant to feel during boss fights. They also end really quickly and it makes the game a bit boring in some sections. When Goku does reach level 70, we can climb up to the top of this cliff where we find Yamu and Spopovich meeting with the Demon King Deborah and the Wizard Babidi. Babidi takes the energy the two fighters have brought to him and then kills them. After sensing the Z fighters, Deborah and Babidi plan to lure the Z fighters in to drain them of their energy. Deborah attacks them and quickly kills Kibito and manages to turn Krillin and Piccolo into stone with spit. The Supreme Kai explains that in order to return Krillin and Piccolo back to their normal state, they must defeat Deborah. So the remainders of the group enter Babidi's spaceship. We must be at least level 85 as Gohan to enter, thus fighting our way through the ship is a breeze because we are so powerful. Look at how much damage we're causing to these guys. To get through the ship, we must locate and activate switches that will allow us to open the sealed doors. After we pass through the door, we shall face Pew Pew and kill him in a single blow. Doing the same as before, finding all the switches, we face the next boss, Yakon. He presents a kind of a challenge due to his high defense. He will sometimes seek cover in his cave and deploy small minions to attack you, but they are easily handled. Once he's defeated, we'll have to find the last few switches on the ship in order to face the Demon King Deborah. He's quite easy to defeat, just punching him will stun lock him, and as long as you keep landing punches, he won't be able to do anything. But it appears Deborah is just playing with us.
Sure, Jan.
Before going to see Babidi, Deborah informs the others that they must prepare for the new recruit. But who is the new recruit? It's a mystery for no one. Vegeta scolds Gohan for failing to vanquish Deborah, and threatens to blow up the ship. Supreme Kai then discovers that the new recruit mentioned by Deborah is Vegeta. Babidi attempts to enslave Vegeta with his sorcery. The others attempt to assist him in resisting the power, but he eventually succumbs to it and turns into Majin Vegeta, giving him an enormous power increase and pitting him against the others. The group then gets teleported back to the World Martial Arts Tournament. Even under the influence of Babidi's magic, Vegeta is still only focused on fighting Goku. Vegeta was devastated after Goku sacrifices himself in the Cell Saga. His sole purpose in life to defeat Goku was gone. Then Goku comes back to Earth, and all he wants to do in the tournament is to fight him and prove that he is the better fighter. When Goku faced Yakon, he noticed how strong Goku had become. Vegeta still has evil in his heart, and Deborah saw it. He made Babidi take control of him, and Vegeta decided to let it happen, because he wanted to fight Goku more than anything else. He had gotten too soft on Earth with his family. Vegeta became obsessed with his pride as a Saiyan as a result of Babidi's control, and he reverted back to becoming a ruthless villain who massacred hundreds of people. After taunting Goku for a while, Goku eventually agrees to a match. Goku and Majin Vegeta are then teleported to a remote mountain area where they fight. Majin Vegeta explains to Goku that he purposely let Babidi possess him in order for his evilness to re-emerge. This is one of the strongest story arcs in the Buu saga, although it doesn't translate that well into gameplay, due to the absence of difficulty. While Goku and Vegeta are fighting, the Supreme Kai and Gohan go in search of Majin Buu's egg thing, hoping to prevent him from being resurrected. The game alternates between fights and cutscenes, but because we are so powerful, the gameplay segments are only a few seconds long, which really disrupts the flow. It also makes Majin Vegeta appear lackluster, as we can easily slap him around. Gohan manages to destroy that egg thing with a Kamehameha, which is now turned back to being yellow for some reason. But it was all in vain, as Majin Buu emerges anyway. Majin Buu prances around in a childish manner. Deborah makes the mistake of underestimating Buu, and he is attacked by the lump of lard.
Oh fuck, I can't believe you've done this.
When Majin Buu appears, Goku and Vegeta sense his power, and Goku begs Vegeta to postpone their battle. Even after being told that Majin Buu will kill everyone, including his family, Vegeta refuses and claims he no longer cares about them. But Goku chastises him for lying. Realizing the danger of Majin Buu, Vegeta decides to stop the fight by informing Goku that he has won so they can go find Majin Buu, but tricks Goku into letting down his guard and hits him from behind, knocking him out. As Vegeta, we rush back to Babidi's ship. We are just retreating our steps from earlier, and none of the enemies have changed, so we can just smash our way through the area with ease. It's actually really fun playing as Majin Vegeta, as you get to stay in the Super Saiyan 2 form permanently. This also means that you have an extra ki gauge to work with. Although ki attacks in this game are very underpowered in comparison to your melee attacks, and I almost never felt the need to use them. The best use I found for them was to push back enemies to give you a little space, as they do have a tendency to bum rush you. While making our way to the ship, Buu turns Deborah into a cupcake. Yes, this is Buu's special power. The ability to turn people into sweets and devouring them. Yum. Hey, at least Krillin and Piccolo are back to normal. Vegeta finally arrives and we get to fight Buu in the first of many, many fights. This fight is more confusing than hard. It's also really annoying because Buu is invulnerable for most of it. You have to wait for Babidi to land on the ground so you can attack him, and then you can damage Buu. It's so stupid that you can't even fire Ki Blast at Babidi while he's in the air. I mean, the one opportunity they had to make the Ki Blast useful, and they don't do it. After Trunks saves Vegeta from one of Buu's attacks, Vegeta decides the only way to destroy Buu is to sacrifice himself. Vegeta holds his son close and tells him how proud he is of him, before knocking him and Goten out. He leaves him in Piccolo's care and then uses Final Explosion in an attempt to kill Majin Buu.
Trunks, Bulma might do this for you. And yes, even for you, Kakarot.
For whatever reason during this scene, Vegeta has reverted back to normal and is no longer in his Majin form. It must have just been an oversight. Despite the limitations of the GBA, I think they did a pretty good job of depicting the power of this attack. Sadly, Majin Buu is able to regenerate and heal Babidi from Piccolo's attack, making the same prince's sacrifice futile. This is by far the best moment in the Majin Buu saga, in my opinion. It shows so much depth to Vegeta's character. Eventually he learns the errors of his ways, but by that point it was too late and he gladly pays the ultimate price to protect his family. This is why I'd love to see a game focused around Vegeta, because he's just a way more interesting character than Goku, in my opinion. But my opinion is right. With Vegeta dead and Gohan missing, it is up to the young Trunks and Goten to defeat Buu. Sounds like a great idea. Put the burden of the world on a 7 and 8 year old. Such a hero. Goku thinks that the only way they will stand a chance is if they learn the fusion technique. But before we learn that, Goku sends us to find the 7 Dragon Balls, as we will need them to wish back the people killed by Majin Buu. You'd think that this probably isn't the best time to be going on a treasure hunt. This does, however, help give the player a bit of a break from the heavy amount of cutscenes we have been reading through. And this is where I get to talk about the overworld exploration, which was present in the last game and was done rather well. But for whatever reason, instead of choosing to improve upon it, they made it worse. In the Legacy of Goku II, there are little icons that you could see on the map, so you could easily see where you could land. But instead of having icons floating above the locations, either have them on the ground where they're hard to see and you have to descend down to, which makes it look like your character's grown into a giant, or they just have nothing and you just need to know that the location is there. I have no idea why they thought this was a good idea. The Scouter, just like in the last game, can be used to scan NPCs for information, but it is most useful for its map feature. But where it would be most useful, on the overworld map, it can't be accessed. When I first started to play the game, I genuinely thought that there were just no extra areas that you could go to. The exploration in the early game is extremely limited. Almost all of the areas are cut off either because you don't have the character or your level is way too low. There are aircrafts and boats that you can land on and fight some goons, but these are just one screen areas and are only good for earning a bit of extra XP and Zenny. To make finding the Dragon Balls easier, we get the Dragon Radar from Bulma. Instead of the locations being marked with a star like in the second game, you have to actually follow the directions of the radar. When the arrows are purple, that is the direction you need to fly in. When the center turns red, you're in the right spot. You'll have to do various tasks in order to find the Dragon Balls, from fighting mummies in an ancient tomb, taking on a bunch of ninjas, and stopping a train hijacking. We even get to take a Dragon Ball from Pilaf. You can collect the Dragon Balls in any order apart from the 4-star Dragon Ball, which will always be collected last. In order to obtain it, we must defeat the legendary Super Saiyan Broly. Oh, he's already dead. You see what I mean about the difficulty just ruining moments? Returning to Capsule Court with the Dragon Balls, Shenron is summoned and the victims of Buu are wished back to life, except for the bad ones, which means Vegeta ain't coming back. Thanks, Yamcha.
Why are you even here?
Goku interrupts and the second wish is never made, saving it for later. Back at the lookout, Goku proceeds to teach Trunks and Goten how to fuse. Meanwhile, Babidi and Buu are causing chaos, trying to draw out the remaining Z fighters. The Karen from before ends up turning them in.
I'm putting you on citizen's arrest.
And this forces Goku to confront them, just to buy some time. And this is the first time we get to use the Super Saiyan 3 transformation. And just like in the source material, it's shit. It takes too long to activate, and once it is, it does not last very long. You have to already be in Super Saiyan form to turn Super Saiyan 3. You can't just go straight to 3. The buffs it gives you just isn't worth it. Once the gauge runs down, and it runs down fast, you will be back in your base form. Don't sacrifice your eyebrows for this form. Goku reverts to his normal state, conceding that he cannot defeat Majin Buu, and asking Babidi to wait 2 days without harming anyone so Trunks and Goten can finish their training and face Majin Buu. Babidi refuses, but Majin Buu is eager, so Goku departs to the lookout. Babidi chastises Majin Buu for allowing Goku to flee, but Majin Buu, tired of Babidi, kills the wizard.
Oh, fuck. I can't believe you've done this.
The Super Saiyan 3 transformation has decreased Goku's time on Earth, so when he arrives at the lookout, it is already too late, as fortune teller Baba tells Goku that his 24 hours are up. He must go back to the other world, and Piccolo picks up the training where he left off. Goku tells the others that he will find Gohan in the other world. Goten and Trunks continue their training. In order to fuse, you must hit a button sequence correctly. If you screw it up, they will transform into an old man. Once we get it right, the overconfident Goten takes off to fight Buu, who is hanging out in a warehouse for some reason. Of course we beat him easily, and by beating him easily, the game pretends that we lost. With everything sort of going to shit for our heroes, Hercule is here to save the day. He goes to confront Buu, who has built himself a house. I know it sounds like I've just skipped ahead of it, but this is actually how it plays out. Goku has returned to the other world and goes in search of Vegeta in Hell. HFIL. Buu's Fury has a great presentation. It has some really unique areas that you get to travel through. The environments are nicely detailed and do a pretty decent job at conveying scale on such limited hardware. All of the characters move fluidly, and the Ki Blasts, as useless as they are, look the best out of all 3 games. I mean, look at this dragon. As always, I enjoy the Bruce Faulkner music, and like always, I am going to complain a bit about the character portraits. The overwhelming majority look great. They look very close to their original designs. That is apart from Vegeta. There is just something about it that looks off. I'm struggling to convey what I mean, but his features look too soft. I don't know, it's just not quite right. Despite all of the issues I have with this game, I do think it is the best looking in the series. Speaking of Vegeta, we managed to find him in Hell. HFIL. Meanwhile, Majin Buu adopts a puppy. Yay! But then it gets shot. No! But don't worry, Buu heals the puppy. Yay! Hercule has managed to befriend Buu, and has even convinced him to give up killing. There is no doubt that you are starting to notice that this story is sort of all over the place, and this is not the game's fault. This is all coming from the anime that the game is trying to follow. Although the next part is a bit of a departure from the Buu saga, as we are moving back into movie territory and taking on the demon Janemba. While travelling through Hell, or whatever it's called.
Welcome to Heck, a friendly community.
There is this annoying hand that keeps appearing and punching us in the face. This is Janemba, who we can face after breaking through Vegeta's level gate. Pikkon is lying on the ground after he failed to stop the demon. The first phase of the fight is nothing special. He is very large, so he is kind of hard to miss. Once this phase is over, he will transform and quickly take out Vegeta. Now it's Goku's turn, but he is unable to finish him off, according to the cutscene that is. In game, this fight is very easy. With no other options, Goku and Vegeta fuse into Gogeta. Now, unfortunately this doesn't unlock the fusion to use at any time, but the fusion can be unlocked if you are able to find all 15 Z-Fighter exhibits and all 25 Hercule exhibits, which are just collectibles that are located all throughout the game. Once they are all found and returned to the exhibits, you'll be able to turn into Gogeta as either Goku or Vegeta. You have to perform the button sequence in order to fuse, and the fusion only lasts for 5 minutes. I say only 5 minutes, but that is actually a pretty decent amount of time, to be honest. This is a way better reward than the Hercule character unlocked from the second game. But like with most completionist rewards, there just isn't really much to do once you have it. The game is over. You've done everything. Maybe it does have some uses in multiplayer, but I didn't have a way to play any of the multiplayer modes, so I don't know. And I won't be going over the multiplayer in this video because I don't know anything about it. Once Janemba is defeated, Goku goes to talk to King Yama to see if he can locate his son Gohan. He senses Gohan on the sacred world of the Kais. Boo and Hercule are playing house when Hercule is attacked. Boo is able to heal Hercule, but he is so enraged that he splits into two beings. The grey Boo is the embodiment of all of the evil within Boo. Fat Boo fires the transfiguration beam at Evil Boo, but Evil Boo simply deflects it back at him. Fat Boo is turned into a lolly and quickly eaten by Evil Boo, who then transforms into the incredibly powerful Super Boo. How many times did I say Boo in that paragraph? There's a lot of boos. Teleporting to the sacred world of the Kais, Goku finds Gohan training with the Kais and with a sword. And no, we don't get to fight with a sword, okay? As part of his training, Gohan had to pull the Z sword from the stone to gain tremendous power. You have to play this button mashing minigame to pull it out. I hate button mashing minigames, because I'm bad at them. Now I know I'm starting to sound very unenthusiastic about what is going on, because I am. This is where the story really starts to drag, and I mean really drag. So I'm going to be going a bit quicker through these next few events, and you'll understand why very soon. While Gohan is still finishing up his training on the Kai planet, it's up to Trunks and Goten to stop Super Boo. They head into the hyperbolic time chamber just to give them a little bit more time, but Boo gets impatient and kills pretty much everyone and barges in anyway, so they end up fighting. Goten loses because he is an annoying little brat and doesn't use his full power, so they get stuck in the hyperbolic time chamber, but not really, and they escape basically straight away. Now we fight Boo again as Super Saiyan 3, and the lookout gets destroyed. We fly down to fight Boo again, but the fusion runs out. Gohan, having achieved his ultimate form, rushes to Earth to stop Boo. We fight Boo as Gohan now, but then Boo blows himself up. We run to go find him, but we are blocked by a level gate and the world is destroyed. The end. Okay, so that's not how it ends, but what a way to break what little tension the game had. Leveling up a bit, we get through the gate. Trunks and Goten fuse again, but they, along with Piccolo, get absorbed by Boo, making him much more stronger than before. Because he is even stronger than Gohan's ultimate form, Goku returns to Earth with the Patara earrings, which allows for a permanent fusion. Goku throws Gohan one of the earrings, but Gohan misses the catch. When trying to find the earring, Gohan is absorbed by Boo, who becomes even more powerful. Realizing the desperate situation, King Yima and the fortune teller Baba have granted Vegeta a one-day pass back to Earth to fight Boo. Goku senses Vegeta and teleports to Vegeta's location.
Thank God you're here. Where have you been, bitch?
And fortune teller Baba discovers that Goku is back on Earth again, with Goku telling her that he came back to life thanks to old Kai's sacrifice, which I didn't mention, but yeah, that's how Goku gets back to life. Vegeta refuses to fuse with Goku and goes to face Super Boo. So much shit happens within this chapter, but none of it really matters. It just jerks you around. Vegeta has failed, so Gotenks is going to beat Boo. Nope. Gohan. Nope. Wait. Goku and Gohan are going to fuse. Actually, forget about Gohan. But wait, what about Goku and Vegeta fusing? Just make up your damn mind. It is so draining have to play through all this shit. There's just no focus and it feels like none of the fights matter. Now again, I must stress this is not all the game's fault. This is what happens in the source material. But still, this is what is in the game. And this trend doesn't end here. Goku attempts to persuade Vegeta to fuse with him, but Vegeta angrily refuses as he is mad at Goku for holding back his Super Saiyan 3 transformation during their previous fight. Goku then informs him that Boo has murdered Bulma and absorbed Trunks. This shocks Vegeta, and he reluctantly accepts to fuse, even if it means being stuck with Goku for the rest of his life. I think I'd rather die. No. Goku and Vegeta then use the Patara to fuse into Vegito. Exciting, we get to play as Vegito, but only for one fight. And like most fights, it lasts all of 30 seconds. Despite Vegito being more than capable of killing Boo, they fuck around too much and end up getting absorbed. For a reason that is never explained, Boo doesn't actually gain any of Vegito's powers, and Goku and Vegeta end up splitting up. even though it was just established that the fusion would be permanent. Why even bother introducing the permanence of a fusion if you're just going to go back on it 10 minutes later? Again, not the game's fault, but still annoying. We must travel through Boo's insides, entering various orifices to get to his brain. Along the way we find all the fighters that had also been absorbed by Boo. Super Boo, realizing what is going on, sends a mental image of himself to stop us. Another fight against Super Boo commences, again, which feels like the millionth time. They defeat him and free everyone that was absorbed, and quickly escape out of a hole. Not gonna specify what hole, but it is dark, like the other side of the moon. Since all who were absorbed were removed, Super Boo returns to his original form, Kid Boo. We then get a little backstory of what occurred between Boo and the Kais. Boo made their way to the sacred world of the Kai and proceeded to kill 3 of the Kais. While protecting the Supreme Kai, the Grand Supreme Kai gets absorbed, which transforms Kid Boo into the childish Fat Boo. Due to the innocence of the Grand Supreme Kai, this Boo was much less evil. Much less evil. Does that sentence make sense? I think it does. I'm going to leave it in. The game gives us an option to go gain some levels before facing off against Kid Boo, but I don't think that will be necessary. Having a temper tantrum, Kid Boo completely obliterates Earth. Well, shit. Goku, Vegeta, Hercule and Dende manage to make it to the Kai planet while everyone else perishes. Vegeta scolds Goku for causing the untimely deaths of their kids and friends, adding that the Earth Dragon Balls have been destroyed and there is no way to recover them. Dende and the Supreme Kai then recall that the Namekian Dragon Balls are still functioning, so they teleport there to find them. For the final fight against Boo, we will be swapping frequently between fighting as Vegeta and then fighting as Goku. It really messes up the pacing of the fight. You get like 30 seconds of gameplay and then back to reading through a bunch of text boxes. Eventually Vegeta falls, so Hercule of all people steps in to challenge Kid Boo. But Kid Boo finds himself unable to attack his former friend. He then spits out Fat Boo. Fat Boo saves Hercule and begins fighting Kid Boo. Meanwhile on Namek, Dende uses the Dragon Balls to wish back Earth and her inhabitants. Vegeta then reveals his plan to defeat Kid Boo, a super spirit bomb produced from the energy of the people of Earth. So forget about the Super Saiyan 3 nonsense and the fusions introduced in the saga. We are going with a spirit bomb. Thanks. I hate it. Vegeta must keep Kid Boo at bay in order for Goku to gather energy. As a result, I spent a few minutes running around in a circle. Screw it. I'm over this. Unfortunately, only a few people Goku has already assisted are willing to give up their energy. Until Hercule tells everyone to give up their energy so he can battle Kid Boo. With everyone's faith in him, they finally direct their energy towards the Spirit Bomb. The Spirit Bomb is finished, but Kid Boo has defeated Vegeta, who is now too weak to move. So Hercule grabs Vegeta and moves him out of the way. Goku throws the Spirit Bomb, but Kid Boo is able to stop the Spirit Bomb and deflect it back towards Goku. This part is really confusing because there are 2 Kid Boos. I think the one that is standing next to Vegeta and Hercule is supposed to be Fat Boo, but the game is using the wrong sprite. It's actually kind of funny. Vegeta asks Dende to make one last wish, restore Goku's strength. Goku then transforms into a Super Saiyan and launches the Spirit Bomb towards Kid Boo. We have to do a little button mashing before the Spirit Bomb engulfs Kid Boo. As Kid Boo's body disintegrates, Goku hopes that he will come back as a good person, and they can have a rematch. The end. But not really. After the main story is complete, you're free to fly around and finish up side missions, etc. But if we go to Capsule Court, we can view the ending. All of Goku's friends and family are there celebrating the defeat of Kid Boo. It has been 10 years since the defeat of Majin Buu. Gohan and Videl got married and had a daughter named Pan. And I must say, Gohan and Videl don't look like they have aged a bit over the years. Gohan is even wearing his high school uniform. At the 28th World Martial Arts Tournament, the Z-Fighters meet a 10-year-old boy called Oob. This young man is the reincarnation of Kid Buu, the result of Goku's wish before he killed Kid Buu. Goku decides to abandon his family to train Oob because he is just a swell guy, even though he could easily just stay with his family and also train Oob, but nah. Why be a good father and grandfather when you can do what you want? Yeah, just fuck off. Dragon Ball Z Boo's Fury feels like an improvement in some ways and a bit of a step back in others. The controls and character customization is the best in the trilogy. There are more transformations and more moves for you to utilize, but it is very unbalanced. Instead of fixing the issues with the leveling system from the last title, this game double downs on them, making grinding mandatory with the side effect of destroying the difficulty. It's too easy, even for me, and I suck. But the thing that lets this game down the most is the source material. The story is badly paced, it's constantly jerking you around, making it feel like half of what you do doesn't even matter. And it seems that the majority of your game time is spent reading through text boxes. I found Boo's Fury to be rather disappointing. I did really enjoy the gameplay, it is the best in the series, but everything surrounding it is just worse than the second game. I'm honestly kind of bummed out by it. I was really expecting this game to be like really good, but it wasn't. Okay, I'm done for the day. Bye. Thanks for watching.